I'd like to read you a passage from a book that had a big influence on me. It's Evolution's End by Joseph Chilton Pearce. There are three characteristics of adolescence that are not part of the accepted scene, but may ring a responsive chord. They are felt states, emotional pressures with no specific content, neither easily spoken about nor understood. Because they are qualitative, we can resonate with them. But not being quantitative, they defy precise description. Writers and poets have tried to give them voice, as J.D. Salinger in Catcher in the Rye, or Thomas Wolfe in Look Homeward, Angel. First, starting at around age 11, an idealistic image of life grows in intensity throughout the middle teens. Second, somewhere around age 14 or 15, a great expectation arises that something tremendous is supposed to happen. Third, adolescents sense a secret, unique greatness in themselves that seeks expression. They gesture toward the heart when trying to express any of this, a significant clue to the whole affair. What it is that is supposed to happen at this age remains a mystery. For though it may linger like Thomas Wolfe's grape bursting in the throat, it never happens. George Leonard spoke of an anguished longing so acute he knew it could never be assuaged. A university student said that since age 14 she had waited for a momentous happening that didn't happen. Were the issue sexual, it would not be an unknown. A student wrote his parents that he loved his third year of college, but had awakened one night with the cold hand of terror clutching his heart. Since about 14, he reported, he had felt that something tremendous was supposed to happen. Now approaching age 21, he had been waiting for 7 years, and it hadn't happened. Suppose, he had asked himself at that late night awakening, suppose it never happens, and I never even know what it was supposed to have been. So 3 things that define adolescence. First is idealism. Idealism is the belief or the knowledge that a more beautiful world is possible, that things are not supposed to be this way. And it generates a kind of a protest against the world as it is, because you know it's not supposed to be this way, but everybody around you, maybe not directly, but all of the institutions around you say, no, this is how the world is supposed to be. You're supposed to adapt to it. If you are unhappy in this world, well, then the problem must be with you. So get with the program. You're supposed to be well adjusted to the world as we find it, which would be fine if this is the best of all possible worlds. But if a more beautiful world is possible for us to create, and we're not actively creating it, then it would be very healthy then to reject the world that's presented to us as normal when it is far from normal. Well, eventually what happens is you finally come to accept that nothing's going to change, that the world is just the way it's going to be, that it's hopeless to try to make it any better, and you give up. You're broken to it. That's what they call maturity. And this idealism is dismissed as something youthful idealism. Okay, the second characteristic of adolescence. Something tremendous is supposed to happen. You don't know what it is, but it's supposed to happen. You know it's going to happen. You feel that it's going to happen. You feel that you're not really grown up yet, but you're going to go through another process of growth before you truly become an adult. If you don't go through this process, then you'll never truly feel like an adult. Most adults, so-called adults that I talk to these days, they will confess to having these moments where they feel, I'm not really an adult. I'm just a grown-up kid playing. I'm playing grown-up. I'm wearing grown-up clothes. I have a grown-up job, but I don't feel like I ever really grew up. I don't feel like I became an adult because that tremendous happening never happened. Other cultures had mechanisms, ways to bring about this happening, because this happening is really nothing less than a transformation of your identity. It's a falling apart of the old self, the rational ego self, and an emergence into a much bigger self that transcends the person, the biographical body ego self, and becomes connected to something larger than yourself. Now, if you don't, and so they had all kinds of coming of age ceremonies that were very, very intense, that involved vision quests, involved physical pain, deprivation, psychedelic plants, isolation, or something else that you would go out there. Maybe they would say, in one tribe, you had to, before you became a man, and before you were considered a man, you had to go out and kill a lion with a spear. And the elders would say, go out and don't come back unless you've got the lion's tail. Don't come back unless you've actually killed a lion. And you knew that they were serious, and you knew that sometimes people didn't come back. But when you did come back, you knew that you were a man, and everybody else did too. And usually these coming of age experiences involved something that would just not make it would make that your world and your identity just not work anymore. Young people today seek this kind of experience. And I think that's maybe the biggest reason why they always want to get drunk, or do really dangerous things. Fraternity hazing rituals have a lot in common with these coming-of-age ceremonies, army induction, boot camp, things like that. Young people have a craving for these kinds of experiences. And so they kind of try to put together the experience that will launch them into true adulthood from the bits and pieces available in our culture, but it's not so easy to do that. And at best, we usually have a very partial experience of it, made all the more difficult because there are very few models, adult models, of people who have gone through this additional stage of growth, which actually corresponds to a new stage of brain development of the prefrontal cortex that is supposed to happen maybe around age 17 or 18, according to Joseph Chilton Pearce, but never actually does happen, or rarely does happen completely. So the consequence of not going through this tremendous happening is that you always feel like you're not really an adult, that there's something fake about you, and there's something in life that was supposed to happen. It's kind of this buried longing, this feeling that there was supposed to be something more. It's feeling of, is that it?